So what's kind of a momentous offseason for you, signing that contract and coming back here under a new coach? Could you just walk us through what that process was like?
For me, the process was full of excitement, as a kid and as you get older, going through Little League, to high school, college, to getting drafted and then to the free agent market, it's big. Again, you work your whole life to reach an accomplishment like that and to be able to help take care of your friends and family. So for me, it was just exciting. Obviously I left it all in God's hand and, I let my play speak for itself. But ultimately, God put me right where he wanted me to be. And, I'm thankful for everything that has happened.
Jamie, what's it been like getting to know Coach Glenn? What are your interactions have been like with him?
It's been great. Coach Glenn, he's a great guy. He'll be a great mentor for us all. And, for me, it's good, to have a coach like that has played, and I can see where he's coming from and understand where he's coming from. As being a player, he can teach me how he saw it. And along with the other coaches, they also played as well. So just having all those different perspectives all in one is big for all of us as players.
Jamie, what do you think of the additions on defense, particularly Brandon Stevens and Andre Cisco?
I think they're great. Watching their tape, two phenomenal players. Cisco, we actually came out of high school at the same time in the 2018 class. I had a friend on Jacksonville, so I used to watch the Jaguars pretty often, and he's been a great player since college and high school as well. He's a ball hawk. Same thing with Brandon Stevens, very long, physical corner, and I'm excited to play alongside the both of them this season.
Jamie, along those same lines, how about Justin Fields? You guys are around the same age. He was kind of a high school legend there around that time. Do you know him at all? Have you faced him at all? What do you think about him playing with him?
Just watching him, same thing throughout high school and college. He was a great player, like you said, legend from where he comes from. He did great things at the college level. I went to Auburn, as you guys know, and he was at Georgia. So, when he actually left Georgia, it was kind of good for us. He went to a different school because having a guy like that who can throw and run, that's kind of sometimes detrimental to a defense. So same thing for him. I'm excited and grateful to play alongside him this season. I can't wait to see him do great things.
Jamie, what have the first few days of the offseason program been like? What are they doing with you guys? What are they trying to instill?
It's been great. It's only day 3, but it feels good. You can feel the energy, you can feel the excitement throughout the building, the intensity from all our coaches. For me, it's just, it just feels like I've known everybody since day 1. But everybody's coming from different places. We got a lot of new people. But again, just to getting to know my new teammates, seeing my old teammates, just building that bond and those relationships amongst with each other. Main thing around here for these next couple phases is, just getting bigger, faster, stronger. And again, just building relationships amongst each other, just trying to change the culture and build an environment. Like you said earlier, we got new coaches, we got new teammates, old teammates. So it's just, again, mending all those relationships and personalities together to create one unit.
Jamie, last year was such a big breakout year for you, right? It was huge season. What's the next step you feel like for you?
For me, obviously, continuing the same type of play, getting a little bit better each and every day. But for me, it's just taking a bigger leadership role. Just like we said, I had a big offseason signing a new deal. But for me, that only happened because of the teammates that I had. And to me, that doesn't mean nothing if I can't bring along people with me. It means everything that I can take care of my family now, but I want to help somebody else do the same for their family. So, teaching people the process and staying down the way that I stayed down and when I got my opportunity, just rising to the occasion. So helping people study, play harder, doing whatever they have to do. So when their time comes next year and years to come, they're put in the same situation.
Jamien, what's it like not having Aaron Rodgers around anymore?
Aaron Rodgers was a great person, a great player, obviously. he taught everybody in this building a lot just in the 2 years he was here. He taught me a lot just from being a younger backer, seeing how he saw the defense plays. And, obviously when we practiced against each other, he did great things with his eyes that helped put me in a position. So I can say, he helped create a standard for myself and those other guys on offense. So he really basically left a mark on all of us. Again, he just taught us all so much in a short span of time that we can all carry the rest of our lives, the rest of our football careers. So he meant a lot to us, I'll say that.
Can you describe will there be a scheme adjustment for you going from what you played previously to what Aaron Glenn's and Wilkes' scheme is? Because he had bigger type linebackers in Detroit, so I'm wondering how you fit into that scheme-wise, the style of play you have.
Personally, I feel like we all fit in the same way that his guys fit in Detroit. He kept who he wanted here, and going forward, as we get through these phases of OTAs, we'll learn it. Right now, we're just going through, again, building those relationships amongst each other, getting to know our teammates, and the main goal right now is just getting bigger, faster, stronger. As time comes, we'll understand and we'll get to learn how the defense will work. But right now, again, we're just trying to get to know each other better.
Just describe to us what the free agent process was like for you and what was the key or keys that led you to the Jets.
Yeah, the process, it was pretty simple, and straightforward. Obviously it was my first time going through free agency, so I didn't know, what to expect. But, man, I did my homework, on the Jets, and, I really liked, the coaching staff, bringing in Aaron Glenn, Coach Wilkes and Coach Bly. And, just doing my research on them and, just seeing their style, it was a pretty easy decision for me.
Brendan, what do you think you're going to bring to this team and this defense?
Yeah, man, I'm bringing a lot. I think, first and foremost, it comes with that leadership. You know what I mean, and just building that camaraderie with the team. But just bringing a style, aggressive style, physical style. Style that a lot of opponents don't want to face. And so along with other things. But I think it just starts there.
What has stood out to you so far about Coach Aaron Glenn?
Yeah, man, he's a great guy, man. My first opportunity talking to him was, the first day of workouts, the other day, and he's really direct, straight to the point, black and white, no gray area, and he preaches that. But he's definitely about his business, and I think that's what I appreciate most about him.
Have you gone against Justin Fields in your career? And either way, what do you think of him as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think my first time facing him was this past season. Couple plays, but I've looked at him from afar. When he was in Chicago, and I think he's the right man for the job. I think he has what it takes to lead this offense. Lead this team, and I think the sky's the limit.
Brandon, you were one of the most frequently targeted corners last year in the league. I'm wondering, what are some of the factors that you think went into that?
Yeah, I mean, that's not really one of my concerns as to why it happened. The ball's in the air. My job is to make a play on it. I don't try to question why the ball's in the air to my side. But yeah.
Are you anticipating that again this year with Sauce on the other side? And what do you think of the two of you as a combo?
Could you repeat the question?
Are you anticipating that again this year with Sauce on the other side? Maybe you getting targeted more? And what do you think of you two as a cornerback combo?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hell of a combo. I'm excited for it. I think we're just going to make each other better. I'll be able to learn from him. He'll be able to learn from me. And so I think it's going to be exciting.
How does having you and Sauce are obviously bigger type corners, with length, how does that what kind of an advantage can that be when you're facing some of these, amazing receivers that you guys are going to face throughout the year?
Yeah, I think the length is everything for a DB. Size is everything. Along with technique and whatnot. But I think there's not many duos in this league that have our size. And I think that's for our advantage. Whether that's in the passing game or in the run game. You know what I mean? We have interchangeable parts. On this defense, and so I think size is definitely beneficial.
Brandon, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
You come from a team that won a lot, expected to win a lot in Baltimore. Can you translate that to the Jets who haven't won a lot? Can you bring that kind of attitude to a bunch of new guys, or is that something they have to learn on their own?
No, man, I think that's definitely something that I could bring, to this team. Obviously, like you said, I come from a winning organization, and they haven't had as much success here. But I didn't shy away from the opportunity of bringing that here and being a part of that. And so I think it'll happen soon. I think success is on its way. But obviously, we got to put the work in and put the time in, and the results will show.
When we were talking to Aaron Glenn a week or so ago down in Florida at the league meetings, he said he's looking forward to working with you in terms of improving your ball skills and turning some of your tight coverage into, PBUs and interceptions. Can you just talk about working with a guy like him? And also, I don't think you had any interceptions last year. Is that a function of anything, or do you think that's an area where you can definitely improve?
Yeah, obviously it's an area that I can improve on, and that's why I'm just excited to work with Coach Glenn. He's been there, done that. He's made the plays. He's seen all types of concepts, and so just learning from him, as well as the rest of the staff, I think that'll be beneficial to me, which benefits this defense.
What did you know about Andre Cisco, and what do you think he's going to bring to this defense?
Yeah, man, Andre, he's a hard hat, man. He comes ready to play. I was able to play, play the Jaguars, I think 2 years ago at their place, and he was a guy that I had an eye on. But yeah, he's a physical player. Knows the game really well. And so, man, I'm just excited to get to work with him and, see how he sees the game, so we can be on the same page.